What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to my channel. I hope you are all doing well. Let's not waste any more time. Let's get straight into some entitled parent stories. Entitled Dad doesn't understand personal space. This happened 2 years ago, but for some reason I was just thinking of it because I am bored of doing nothing and decided to post to Reddit. Yep, that makes perfect sense to me, you know, Reddit and YouTube, an easy way to take your mind off things. I was at my local swimming pool and me and my friends were having a blast doing the usual racing, water basketball, water slides, etc. Wait, water basketball? I've never played that, that sounds awesome. After it, we had some pizza and we headed into the changing rooms. As we went in, two of my friends went to the bathroom and the other one stayed with me, and we got changed on the opposite sides of the locker room. As I was taking off my shirt, this annoying little entitled kid comes up to me and stands up on the bench next to me, and I kid you not, just started doing a Fortnite dance. I can't remember which one. Then he says in the most annoying voice possible,
"Are you a Jake Pauler?"
What?
You heard me. Do you like Jake Paul?
At this point, I'm not wanting to be rude since this kid is like 10 years old. No, sorry. What? He then proceeds to start tapping. What is this kid on? I'm not paying any attention and I put on my normal shirts.
I'm dabbing on the haters. Do you play Fortnite?
Seriously, whatever this kid's on, I want some. Occasionally, yeah, I really didn't. I just didn't want to see what he would do if I said I didn't.
Okay, you're probably a noob. I have 300 wins. I could beat you in a 1v1.
Okay, kid, can you please move? I'm going to change my pants now.
Ha, I bet you don't have a pee-pee. That's why you're hiding it.
At this point, I was caught off guard because this was the last thing I expected him to say. What?
Yeah, you're a girl.
At this point, it was getting weird and I only saw one other man. Hey, is this your kid? It was the entitled dad. Yeah, so? Can you tell him to leave me alone? He is really close to me and is making me uncomfortable. Why do you care? It's only a little kid. He is curious at his age. He can do what he wants. No, tell him to go away or I will leave and get the lifeguard. Hey, you can't do that. This is a free country. I can do anything I want. Then I can get the lifeguard if your son doesn't get away from me. Fine, what a brat. Come here, kid. I then finished changing and left the locker room with my friend who had been watching and laughing his butt off the entire time. I told my mum about what happened and we both went to tell the front desk people, but I don't know what happened to them after that. Anyway, I got lucky it didn't escalate further and I just went home and played COD after that. Yep, sounds good to me. Alright, so according to the entitled dad, his entitled kid can do whatever he wants, right? That's the way he made it seem. So by that logic, that means that I can yeet his kid into the swimming pool, right? I mean, this kid likes Jake Paul, he dabs for no real reason, and he plays Fortnite? That's worse than the Ice Age, baby. Also, I'm sorry to all you guys that play Fortnite. I know, it's a good game. I just prefer other games. I'm sorry. Anyway, with that weird first story out of the way, let's move on to the second. Now, I'm going to put a little bit of a warning in. This one is serious. Stepmother stalks my child online before we even know she exists. Now, trigger warning here, guys, child abuse. This one is, yeah, it is not for the faint-hearted. Okay, so this may not exactly belong in this subreddit, but I didn't know where else to post it. The woman in question is entitled, and she was legally a step-parent at the time, so it kind of fits. Backstory. I met my wife, wifey, in high school, and she was 6 months pregnant at the time. The biological father, DBD, was a complete deadbeat, and the only reason I even met the two of them is because my friend was sleeping with the deadbeat dad behind wifey's back and wanted to introduce me to him. When the baby, DD, was born, the deadbeat dad dropped out of school and changed his number to avoid my wife and the new baby. By the time the baby was 8 months old, my wife and I had started dating. We graduated together, moved across the state to college, and went on with our lives as a happy little family. Fast forward 5 years, we have never heard from the dad, and until the kid was 3.5, she and my wife still technically lived with my wife's mum on breaks and such in the same house they'd always been, just a few blocks down from the dad. Out of the blue, he sends us a message on Facebook asking to have his baby over for the weekend. Apparently, he had gotten his new girlfriend pregnant and they had rushed to get married. Now the new wife, we'll call her Psycho, wanted the deadbeat dad, her husband, to have his daughter back. It had been 5 years, she didn't know him and we didn't know what to say at first. Out of curiosity, we checked out both the dad and Psycho's profiles and I nearly fainted. For nearly a year, the Psycho wife had been collecting photos of the baby from anyone's profile that would share a picture of her. Not only that, she was posting them on her profile as if she had been the one to take take them. This included shots from a Mother's Day photo shoot we had paid for. The photographer posted some of the shots with her watermark on her page. And before we even got the shots back, the psycho had copied them all to post on her profile, saying it was the best Mother's Day gift ever. Remember, her baby was not yet born. This was my wife's baby. Scared and angry, we found it best to ignore their request. There was no way we could get my wife's daughter to go along with spending the weekend at a stranger's house anyway. So they sued us for full custody and child support. What the frick? All heck broke loose when my wife was served papers at work. Immediately, we shut down our Facebook profiles because that's how the psycho knew where to send the papers, and told all our friends and family to take down any pictures of our daughter. But that wasn't enough to stop her. Turns out, in addition to stealing photos, Psycho also made several fake profiles to add friends and family and get information about us. We never added anyone we didn't know, but other family members had. There were 7 fake profiles altogether. When we had them all removed and reported, Psycho started sending her friends and family to attempt to add us and gather more information about us. She showed up at my wife's daughter's Christmas show at school when we didn't even tell them where she went to school. She repeatedly showed up at my wife's work to try and get her in trouble and called the cops on us for several false incidents. The reasons listed by their lawyer for seeking full custody were because we're lesbians and that's bad for kids, we abuse my wife's daughter, never once in her life, we do drugs, even offered to do a pee test, but she wouldn't spring for it since we would all have to foot that bill. Well, based solely on the fact that over 5 years prior he had signed the VAP, the deadbeat dad got visitation rights. My wife retained primary custody because duh, and visits were begun slowly so my daughter could get to know the dad. Eventually, it moved every other weekend for the whole weekend, but our daughter never made it the whole weekend. They made her sleep on the floor in their basement, so she never liked staying there for more than a night. The custody settled, we opened a case for support, and of course, the dad tried everything he could not to be responsible for support. When he ducked out over 5 years ago, we never asked him for a dime, but they wanted all of this, so we did it all. You wouldn't believe the excuses he'd try. Even though they won, Psycho didn't stop trying to destroy our names online and attempting to turn everyone from high school still in our hometown against us. She wanted the happy little family, and my wife's daughter was throwing a wrench in her plans by not calling her mummy right from the get-go. When they showed up at her spring concert uninvited, Psycho demanded our daughter take her around and introduce her. So she did. She introduced them as her step-parents, both of them. She had just turned 6 and was still a little confused by the whole thing. Oh, that was another thing. Because she and my daughter had the same birthday, Psycho insisted she's supposed to be mine. That's why she came early. What is that logic? Alright, sorry, I've just got to take a breath here. This woman has nothing to do with this baby at all. Why does she really care? So far into this story, this entitled couple, it doesn't get much worse than this. One night, when my wife's daughter was at their house, we get the usual call to come and get her, only it was Psycho's mum on the phone and not the deadbeat dad. They lived with Psycho's parents and neither drove, so her parents had to take them everywhere, of course. When we get to the pickup point, our daughter is in tears and the dad hops into his in-laws truck without an explanation. It turns out that Psycho lost her cool when my wife's daughter didn't want to stay the night again, so she sat our daughter down and read her the custody agreement line for line. Then she looked that 6-year-old angel in the eye and told her she could have her mama, that's me, arrested anytime she wanted for not complying with the custody agreement. Psycho was convinced the only reason our daughter wouldn't like her is because we told her not to. Dude, I don't want her to like wifey's mum either, but I have no say in who my daughter cares for. Well, for the next week, I get to force our daughter onto the school bus in tears because she's convinced I will get arrested while she's at school, and I won't be there waiting for her in the afternoon. God, just typing that out breaks my heart all over again. Thanks for that, Psycho. But this story ends with some poetic justice. Maybe they were tired for fighting with a little girl. Maybe she realized just how badly she had messed up. Who knows? But before the next visitation, we got an email from our lawyer explaining the dad wanted to sign over his rights. It had only been 3 months since he enacted them and allowed me to formally adopt our daughter. We were ecstatic, obviously. We agreed and everything fell into place. She never had to see see them again, and my wife and I could shoulder the online attacks and occasional face-to-face confrontation from everyone in their family, seeing them as the victims, of course. Life got back to normal and we began to heal. But their story wasn't finished. 2 weeks ago, I got a message from the deadbeat dad's sister-in-law who never really took part in the harassment. She's married to his younger brother and just had their first baby. She was hoping we would consider letting our daughter get to know her baby since they are biologically cousins. That isn't the way we see family in this house, but I understand other people put an emphasis on DNA. It turns out the 3 kids Psycho ended up having with the dad are no longer allowed to visit his side of the family, and our daughter is the only biological cousin left. Why, you ask? Because the deadbeat dad raped an 11-year-old girl he and Psycho were supposed to be babysitting. What the oh my god. He went to prison and Psycho divorced him, banning his entire family from seeing any of the kids. My heart bleeds for the little girl who had her life ruined, but I am human, so forgive me when I say, after watching that Psycho twist my little girl all up inside, I feel satisfied with her serving of karma. Holy heck, that is the maddest ending I've ever read to a story, Jesus Christ. Honestly, this is more of an r/insane parent story, guys, wouldn't you agree? I mean, god, the levels of just insanity in this story are scary. Yeah, Noah, I think it's time to get the arc, man. Get me out of here. I can't read any more stories like this. Oh my god. Well, guys, that is going to be the end of that video. I'm sorry if any of you were offended by how serious that story ended. Jesus, that was unexpected to say the least, but wow. If you want some more videos right away, I know some of you are probably quite bored right now in quarantine, isolation, whatever, lockdown, not much to do. They are up on screen, as well as the playlist to watch all of my videos. So yeah, with that all being said, make sure you're subscribed to the channel for daily content, and I will see you tomorrow for a brand new upload.